This is my first shot at trying to do a screen capture video, to add to one of my blogs. This one is the blog on layers. I used a picture of early fall foliage from Marlborough, New Hampshire for the initial image, and then I tried to demonstrate the different layers, both image layers and adjustment layers, by trying to add our dog Nellie into the scene, something of course I would never do on my own. So as I discussed in the article, the first thing was to find an image that seemed to fit of Nellie, try to get it sized properly, and I ended up with this image from a spring picture during Maple's sugaring season. And then as I discussed, I used a layer mask in order to get rid of all this extraneous stuff around here. The mask that I applied here initially was all white, so it showed everything. And then I painted with black to get rid of all of this extraneous stuff, which you can see here, so that I removed everything that wasn't Nellie, and there she's positioned. Doesn't look too bad, but there's some things that you can do to try to make her look like she is more naturally in the scene. And the first one, as I looked at it, I realized that she was too bright. So I added a adjustment layer, a curves adjustment layer, in order to make her a little darker. And I actually made it so that it was actually a little higher contrast as well. And then applied a layer mask just so that this particular change only applied to her. And that got her looking a little bit more like the light in the shade here on the stone wall. The next problem was that her face was way too red. She looked like a big stoplight in the middle there. And so I then used a hue and saturation adjustment layer, applied that, used basically the same mask I'd used before, so I was only really showing her face, and on the adjustment only applied to her face, so we got her more looking like the rest of the scene. Now, one of the problems with compositing is getting the light right. In this situation, the light was obviously coming from the left, but her face was actually brighter on the right side here as we faced her. So I added another curves, made it a little bit lighter, and then only painted in on this left side with the white paintbrush. So it only applied to her left side, and it gave us more of a feeling of being illuminated on that side. Nellie has wonderful bright eyes, so of course I use an adjustment layer for her eyes to get them brighter, and then just apply it to the eyes. You don't want to go too far with this, or she can begin to look like a demon. So I actually, on this particular layer, decreased the opacity so that it wasn't so bright. Final thing that I'll often do is to try to draw eyes to the central subject, in this situation to Nellie, by lightening up a little just around her using a gradient tool. And this is the sort of change that if you looked at the image you wouldn't realize it was there until you went back and forth and saw that it actually brightened her up a bit. And so that's a combination of a number of adjustment layers on top of an image layer, and using masks to apply all these changes just specifically to the places that it was necessary.